Okay, so what we'll do is we'll go over the GIST assignment. Oh snap. Do you know what the point of a tie is? Nope. Like why would I ever wear a tie?
Because you are an instructor. Because you don't know the button you should?
It's to serve a purpose, yes. The purpose is to hide the buttons. If you're ever wondering why you wear a tie, that is the purpose of a tie, to hide the buttons. Why do you wear cufflinks? To hide the buttons. That's the purpose of a tie. Did you know? No, I mean that is the actual purpose of a tie.
Cufflinks don't cover buttons. What you mean?
Fight. You homeschool? Did you go to prom?
No.
Which one?
What?
So which question?
Both.
Okay. You didn't go to prom?
No. What if you got
so you never had, I mean, don't, watch my face. Well, if you dress up in a suit, yeah, you get cufflinks. You ever been to a wedding? You been in a wedding? And have you ever worn a cufflink?
Yeah. They don't cover
it goes.
Buttons, they go in the holes.
That cover, they go over the butt.
You don't wear cufflinks if you have buttons.
Yeah, they replace the button. You know what? I'm making this up. I'm just. You're right, Reggie.
I mean, you can't replace something that was never there.
Well, you're not right, though.
Who not right?
You.
How?
Because they do cover the button.
There's no button. That's why you wearing the fucking cufflink.
Okay, so okay, so what I'll be doing is a quick example of the assignment that was given this morning. If you have questions or comments, just go ahead and post them in the chat. Okay. I don't know how to keep the chat actually after the stream closes.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't think it saves.
Yeah, it doesn't save, so I would ask you guys to like copy it and then paste it, but it's hard enough just to getting you to put a positive thumb to indicate that you were here for attendance purposes. Huh?
I can't log into my YouTube account anymore. On this computer, at least, every time I go into it, it says something about admin login.
Alright. Okay, so we'll start with the problem statement, and the problem statement is, if we bring up Slack, write a function that takes in a knife object and a player object. Then you will write a free function that returns true if the knife is backstabbing the player. Okay? So you can see it here, and then we'll go ahead and get that set up. I made a new project. It's a brand new empty C++ project. So I'll go ahead and add the source file for it. So let's go ahead and make a new one. All right. We know that we are going to need two objects, so the first thing I'll do is I'll just go ahead and make those objects. All right. I'm just going to do it all in one file. Okay. The reason I'm going to do it all in one file is that I want it to serve the purpose of, you know, being a GIST assignment to get maybe some public feedback on if this ends up going viral. My cool code. So we'll get started. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to need a class called player. All right. So we can start with that. I'm going to need a class called knife. Start with that. All right. And I'm going to need a function to determine. Copied it. Let's go ahead and put it up here. Whoa. All right. So write a function that takes in a knife object and player object. Okay. So this is me just doing exactly how the description of the question was worded, okay? Write a free function that returns true if the knife is backstabbing the player. Okay. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to do my best to actually respond to the stream questions. And there's one more. Okay. You know, if I pause the stream, I can still see the chat, right? The chat's, like if I pause it, type something. There we go. What specifically is a free function? A free function is just a function that is just out in the open. Okay, so it's just a regular function not bound to any object. Okay? So whenever you create an object and then you make methods for it, all right? What you're doing is you're saying that that function or that method is specific to that object. If you write a free function, it's just a function out in the wild, okay? So, write a function that takes in a knife object and player object. Write a free function that returns true if the knife is backstabbing the player. All right. So I've basically gotten the skeleton for how we're going to start this. However, the way that it's set up right here, we're going to need to obviously make some assumptions about the way that the question's worded. Okay. For instance, like the function that just takes in a knife object and player object, and the function that returns true if the knife is backstabbing the player, those are actually the same functions. That's going to be the same function, okay? So what we can do is this. So this right here, all right? This is what's going to take in the player object and the knife object. We'll get rid of this guy because it's useless. And now we need to determine what it means to backstab. So let's define that, all right? A player is backstabbed by a knife when the forward of the player and the forward of the knife is going to be in the range 0.1 to 1 with respect to cosine of those directions. Make sense? Okay. I'm gonna do that. Well, if I sit, I'll just get tired. So directions. Well, how do we define a direction? What we're gonna need is, you know, a simple, you know, vector class. So what we can do is say struct vector even better, direction. How about that? We'll make a struct called direction. This direction will have a X, Y, and Z associated with it, okay? Okay, so what's going to happen is this direction right here is going to need to be inside of the knife and player, so we're going to have to move it above these. That way that they'll have access to them, okay? So now we can now have a member variable for the player called, you know, the player's direction. And now we can have a variable for the knife's direction. Okay? With me? The player class is going to need a constructor, and once again, we're not doing, you know, a header file and a CPP file. We're just going to do it all up in this one file. So we're going to scope the functions that we make for these classes. This is not how you, like, we don't do this whenever we're making, you know, an actual application. This is just a demonstration, so it's, you know, it's completely fine. So I'll go ahead and do that for the knife as well. All right. So just for testing, we know, like, we know when this thing is going to be true, and it should be true whenever the directions are the same. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll just initialize these directions to be the following: 0, 0, 1, and then we'll do the same thing for the player. Got it? So we'll make these public. Now, the dot product, how do that? What is the formula for the dot product? Yes.
We're trying to catch up on the stream we're watching.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Fair.
it's late.
Yeah. So let me not ask questions to the class as a mass. I'm gonna get it out, and then when I close the stream, we'll go over this. So,
Whenever I wrote my solution, I overlooked the first part of the question that said knife object and player object. So as I came up with the right answer, I did not have an object word in there. And I was just giving it vectors instead of an object with a direction.
okay. Okay, so what I've done is, and excuse me for taking so long, I just wanted to make sure that like I'll write this thing absolutely proper. So the dot product is you take the vectors and then you multiply each of the individual elements. So it'd be, you know, ax times bx plus ay times by plus, you know, an times bn, where n is like the element. To perform the dot product between the directions, what we're going to need to do is, I mean, the formula at the bottom, because we don't know what the angle between them is as of yet. So we would have to define, you know, a dot product. So if we were to just do the dot product in player as backstab, it would simply be is equal to k dot direction dot x times p dot direction dot x plus okay. And now you can say return dot greater than 0. We'll just start with this one, dot greater than 0.1. Now we're going to need some implementation, so we'll make a main function. Where does system come from?
IO string.
Damn it. Alright, fair enough. I could have just. Wait, do you get printf from IO string too?
Correct, yeah.
I teach. Alright. Alright, so let's run it and see what we get. Okay, so the result of Nick getting stabbed in the back is 1. All right. So let's get some, you know, better. I guess let's see. We need a way to test it if he's not. Okay, so we're gonna need the ability to, you know, change the direction of the knife. Okay. So what we'll do is go about it this way. So teacher dot M direction is going to be assigned the value of something that we know is going to be false. So this should be 0, 0, negative 1. And then we will check again. And that's pretty much it. Okay, I oversimplified it. Okay, I know a lot of. I mean, it's a common struggle, man. Whenever the more you guys know, the harder it's gonna be to pump these things out because you're gonna stew in design. How many of you put a knife in the player? Then had two players try to backstab each other. Anybody?
I haven't thought about that.
You know, is a knife a player? Should I do inheritance? So on and so forth. What I didn't include any additional libraries. It's just trying to skim away. Okay, I'll check the stream. So I'm trying to skim away the complexities of it. Nothing showed up on the screen. Oh, because I'm sharing the. Yeah, I'm doing it. I'm not doing a screen cap on the actual window. Yeah, it wasn't working for some reason, but the does anyone know what the diagnostics call is to make it show up in the terminal for C++? Remember in C# whenever we was like, no, okay, no, that's a reach. But y'all know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
And we could just run it up in the terminal. What I'll do is I'll try to do the capture screen because right now it's doing a window capture. I know what I can do. Add another. You said display capture?
Yes. You have to run the executable before you can ever choose the option for it.
Oh, this is a lot better.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the other one wasn't working, so I'll disable that one.
So
And
run it.
no,
And then
it should be up now.
Yeah, you're good.
Oh, you can't see my face. There I go.
Yes.
Wait, why is it not showing up on yours?
Because mine's I got a super delay over here.
Because yours is leaked?
Mine was like 5 minutes before his.
Yeah.
Some people have like really long delays and I don't know why.
I know. That's what they say. So this is the result. Let me see if there's any other questions inside of the stream here. Sorry, Melanson, message retracted. Good. We're using structs instead of classes. Acceptable. Right, well, I don't know what that is. So when you ran it both times, nothing showed up. Okay, so we're all caught up. So these are the two results. Does that get everybody?
Yes, it was very simple.
All right, well, I don't want you to be discouraged though, because it's so simple. I have to stop the stream.